Hi folks, I'm Steve Hindy for Shark, showing animals respect and kindness. On July 20, 2016, Shark began its annual documentation of the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo in what are called slack performances. Slack performances include the overflow contestants who don't fit into the regular allotted rodeo schedule, and it is at slack performances that some of the worst rodeo animal abuse occurs. As usual, the injuries began early, in the very first slack performance. A calf was jerked down. A jerk down is a violent and supposedly banned form of roping caused by the contestant throwing the slack rope up to cause the knot of the rope to move from the side to the top of the calf's neck. A jerk down causes the calf to violently flip backwards instead of to the side. A jerk down can injure or kill a calf. In this case, the calf's leg was snapped backwards. This calf was the first of many victims to be hauled out and taken right by the trailers of one of the rodeo's main cruelty enablers, Coca-Cola. In fact, Coca-Cola brags that it is the official soft drink of the Cheyenne Frontier Days. As I said, jerk downs are supposed to be banned, but they occur with great regularity at Cheyenne. Then there is steer busting, the most cruel and deadly event in all rodeo. Steer busting occurs at relatively few rodeos, but Cheyenne includes this brutal event, and predictably there were injuries. Shark put out 5 press releases during the rodeo to expose the cruelty and the toll taken on the animals. The local media, most notably the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, the dominant newspaper in the area, ignored every one of those releases while running one fluff piece after another supporting the rodeo. Multiple fluff pieces a day. On July 24, after so many animals had already been hobbled or were sledded out of the arena, totally ignored by local media, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle ran this article: Animal safety a priority at Cheyenne Frontier Days. The reporter for this icon of fake news was Christine Galloway, who is ironically referred to as the newspaper's education reporter. Education reporter? Seriously? How about fabrication reporter? Let's review just a few lines from Ms. Galloway's article while we look at the reality of the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo. Thousands of animals come through town each year for Cheyenne Frontier Days. CFD Public Relations Committee Chairman Bob Budd said every one of these animals has access to the same health and safety precautions, regardless of who they belong to or what event they are in. We, I think, have been somewhat of a pioneer in the development of animal care, the physical animal care. We have a stretcher that we use for animals. If they're injured, they're taken out on a motorized carrier, he said. Tom Hersig, Frontier Days Chief Executive Officer, said, as the world evolves, so does animal care, and some of the things available for us to use. It's a continual process, something we talk about year-round on how we can make it better. He said CFD is also serious about providing a safe environment for competing rodeo animals. Additionally, Bud said veterinarians come in to inspect the animals twice a day. If the Wyoming Tribune Eagle had real journalists, it might occur to them to ask why rodeo animals have to be checked by vets twice a day. Here's a laughable quote from CEO Hersig. I think sometimes the rodeo contestant and the people who put on rodeos get branded as the thugs of rodeo. Do you think, Mr. Hersig? In the course of the abuse, Shark's cameras documented 6 calves sledded out, while another 2 were forced to hobble out. 2 steers were carted out and 2 had their horns broken. 1 horse was carted out. Shame on every single member of the Wyoming Tribune Eagle for allowing this third-rate, nonsensical article. The Tribune Eagle's editor is Brian Martin, and he can be reached at 307-633-3132. His email address is bmartin@wyomingnews.com. If you contact Mr. Martin, and I hope you will, Please be courteous and professional. I mean that. Please don't lower yourself to the level of a rodeo person, because unless you are a rodeo person, you're better than that. Unfortunately, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle is not the only newspaper devoid of journalistic integrity or honor or a backbone in this country. The willingness of local media to roll over for animal abusers in every rodeo town is the very reason why rodeos still exist in the 21st century. There are some today who lament the endangerment of the print media. I think true journalists are long ago extinct, if they ever existed, in rodeo towns such as Cheyenne, Wyoming, Salinas, California, Guyman, Oklahoma, Huntsville, Texas, Wakanda, Illinois, and hundreds more. If these newspapers and other media would just look at what is going on and dig up and report the cruelty, the unreported injuries, the unreported animal deaths, and overall corruption of rodeos, there would be no more rodeos. Shark has brought hard-hitting, explicit video documentation of rodeo animal abuse to the media in rodeo towns, only to be told by editors that they will not run articles against the rodeo no matter what kind of evidence we have. That's not journalism. And that's because the money that rodeos bring into these towns has made them sell out. Reporters in those towns are little more than rodeo prostitutes. I think it is both sad and humorous that people today are constantly talking about threats to our country from outside our borders. It won't be Al-Qaeda or ISIS that will bring down the United States, but rather the cancerous rot from within. In this example, from rodeo animal abusers and a media that has become so unethical and cowardly, it cheerleads for the very people it should be exposing. I'm Steve Hindy for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness.